Joining us now here on the Hill, the Democratic governor of Hawaii, Josh Green. He is also a physician. He was also today here in D.C. for a hearing about whether or not health officials downplayed adverse side effects associated with the COVID-19 vaccines. Nice to see you.
You too, thank you.
We always talk remotely because it's a little bit of a ways between Hawaii and here.
Yes.
We'll get to your hearing in a second, but I found what the former mayor in L.A., a Democrat, said pretty fascinating, right? Because he basically put a litmus test going forward of what did you know, when did you know, and why didn't you say anything? Do you think that's appropriate for Democrats going forward if there was someone who was close to the former president to ask those basic questions?
Sure, it's fair. I guess everyone's going to be getting a rectal exam and their prostate checked going forward, every guy, before they run for their next office. And people should get screenings. You know, I'm a physician. It's tough. It's tough because people are piling on now because the president is, you know, moved past his years of service. Of course, though, he should have gotten full screening. And
so if you were his physician, and you are a physician,
yeah, obviously
for men over 70, there's a conversation. Should I get it? Should I not get it? Most men over 70, though, don't have the nuclear codes, right? And that's the difference here. So what would you have recommended to him? Yeah,
if you're going to be president, you have to have annual checks that include a PSA and a full physical exam, which would include that examination of the prostate, just because it is different. I mean, at certain ages, we do let it go because people who get diagnosed with prostate cancer at 75 or 80 may very well not even need treatment because they're going to die of something else. But in this case, if you're the president, you do have to have the thorough check.
One of the reasons why I enjoy talking to you, I find you just to be honest and forthcoming. You're always available, which I appreciate. You were on the show a lot during the campaign.
Yes.
I want to play one moment for you when we were talking about the former president's health. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Sure.
Do you trust his team right now, Governor? Because it seems like he's fairly isolated and insulated.
His team is extraordinary. His team delivered 3.5 years of great work.
Before I move on, do you feel duped in any way by the closest around him, the team around him?
I wouldn't use the word duped because I'm a nice guy. But
you think I'm not a nice guy for asking?
No, you're an honest. You're right.
So let me use a different word. Do you think they were? Do you think you were misled?
Not really, because I saw the president a lot. I do think that they did protect him, and obviously more than any of us, realized. And I'm just teasing. I'm gentle because I saw an elderly gentleman. I saw a competition between two old guys, and I thought they both had capacity issues in certain areas. But obviously, the president's decline was profound by the time he had that terrible debate. And now it is obviously something we should be honest about. If he didn't have full examinations, we don't know where his prostate cancer has spread to specifically. These are real issues because prostate cancer can go to bone, can go to brain, can go elsewhere.
You are in town from Hawaii for a health reason. Again, you're a physician. You testified up on the Hill today about myocarditis.
Yes.
Which is, explain it for 10 seconds since you're the doctor.
Yeah, inflammation of the heart, and the question of this was whether it came from vaccinations or from COVID or the combo, and so we debated it.
So you debated it up on the Hill today. Here was some of your testimony, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
I will consider their different opinions, but I will tell you this. I will caution everyone that as we go down the rabbit hole of possibly moving away from vaccinations or vaccination programs, be very careful what you wish for.
So there was a question about whether the health officials at the time didn't warn fast enough, or they were delayed, I guess, to say, you know what, if you've taken the vaccine, there could possibly be an issue with myocarditis. Looking back on it, how do you look back on it at this point in time?
I don't think they were guilty of not disclosing information or covering things up. I think that was really a pretty unfair attack. Look, I was completely aware as we vaccinated people when studies came out, when reports came out about myocarditis. We were telling people that. I was treating individuals that had some complications from the vaccine, but mostly complications from COVID. And to be frank, about 12 people for every 1 million shots that were given got a modest myocarditis, which resolved in its own in 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
When people had hospitalizations from COVID, we were seeing people die of myocarditis and worse all the time, and clots all the time. So the The hearing today was interesting, and I have great compassion for those who have suffered any ill effects from any vaccine, including COVID's vaccine. But I think we were in the moment trying to make sure we didn't have mass death all across the country, and we did lose 1 million people. Yeah. In my opinion, it was good to vaccinate people, and I got vaccinated. My kids did too. What about the FDA just decided limited COVID shots for only people 65 or older, or those with underlying health conditions? You agree with what they just recommended? No, I don't. They actually are now limiting people's decision-making about whether or not they want to get vaccinated. They're telling us now only people over 65 or people with other chronic health conditions are going to be allowed to get the vaccination. That's very heavy-handed, and it's also causes some additional problems because they're adding extra criteria to do more studies. These vaccinations have to be adjusted every year, like the flu vaccine when there's other variants of the COVID virus. They're basically torpedoing mRNA vaccinations, and that was definitely the bias in the hearing. Although I really appreciated hearing afterwards from people that have had a stroke. There was a doctor on the panel that had a serious effect. So that's valuable to me. But if it becomes a witch hunt, which a big part of that hearing was a witch hunt, if it becomes a witch hunt and we start demonizing vaccination programs, and Kennedy is going to be bad news on this. We're going to have problems nationally.
I was going to ask you about RFK Jr. because he's taken on food dyes. Do you give him credit there?
Yeah, I love it.
Would you want him to come to Hawaii?
And ban some food dyes? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he can even tell me don't put food dyes in anything. He can work with me on pesticides. I've been fighting pesticide use forever, heavy metals. The thing is, he should have been the EPA director.
Okay.
He should not have been the health director because he doesn't know squat about health.
All right. Lastly, I ask this to every governor when they walk in, what's the big story in your state? And you said something interesting to me, which is related back to the wildfires in Lahaina. Tell me.
Yeah, so we are the first state, the only state to pass a climate impact fee. It's a tiny percent. It's 0.75% increase in the tax for hotels and short-term rentals. It's going to go towards climate mitigation, fixing our beaches, putting up fire walls and fire breaks, protecting the environment, deal with climate change. We're taking a responsible approach to this large question of climate.
Have you gotten pushback from tourists at all?
No.
Because it's basically an extra hotel tax, right?
Right. It takes it from 10.25 to 11%.
Okay.
But people in general are embracing it because they say we want to protect paradise, and we negotiated a reasonable compromise. People want to save the planet. This is one way to do it.
All right. We'll leave it there. Governor Green from Hawaii.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.